Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. For those of you who know me, hi, how are you? And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Michaela, also known as Mick. I'm a 21-year-old silversmith and small business owner from northern New Jersey. This is going to be like my first time ever doing an introduction video of myself, so bear with me on that. But I get a lot of questions day to day or when I'm at events about what I do for work and how I became a silversmith and kind of overall just a bunch of questions about me and who I am. So I figured the easiest way to do that is to set up a camera, make a YouTube channel, and start taking a bunch of videos for you guys explaining who I am, what I do, what my studio looks like, vlogs, montages, and all of those fun things. So I'm going to start back at the beginning. I started playing around with jewelry when I was 17 years old, and this was when I was a junior in high school. On March 13th of 2020, I remember hearing the announcements from all of our teachers that school was going to be shut down for 2 weeks because of a new virus that was going around called COVID, as we are all very familiar with. Because of this, we had to pack up all of our stuff and head home. And in high school, I was an artist at heart. I was always in the three-dimensional art room. Any chance I could get, I might have only had it 1 period a day, but you can guarantee that I was in there 5 periods a day. Back in high school, I loved sculpting. It was definitely my heart and soul and something that I enjoyed doing the most. And I remember feeling like, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to do art for 2 weeks. Like, that totally sucks, but it ended up being a lot longer than just 2 weeks. That day, I remember carrying all my ceramics through the halls. I used to make life-size figurines of things. I've carved my body into a life-size figure, and I had to carry it all the way from one side of the room all the way down to the parking lot to bring it home. And it was a very surreal experience. And I remember that day, it was also like really dark and gloomy outside. So the whole thing was just very strange. And my number one concern was not being able to go to the art room and be able to do what I like doing the most. So then we all got stuck inside for COVID. And I remember that I was just so antsy and I was like, I need to find something to do to keep myself occupied because I've always been a hands-on person. I've always loved art and I just needed something to do. So at the time I started digging through all my old art supplies, and that's when I found my old shoebox. And in the shoebox it had all of my old crystals and fossils that I used to dig up when I was a kid or that I collected over the years. So when I found this box, I decided that I was gonna try wire wrapping them. And I made my first ever necklace, and it was a very, very simple crystal point with gold wire wrapped around it on a gold chain. And I remember that I started wearing it, and then I posted it online, and all my friends were like, oh my gosh, that's so cute. Like, can I custom order one from you? Can I get one? Can you make me one? All the things. So slowly but surely I started making a few for my friends here and there, and then that kind of triggered me opening my own Instagram page for it, and that's when Mix Meraki was born. So you may be wondering, what does that mean? What does Mix Meraki mean? I get a lot of people who ask me day to day and they wonder if it's my last name, but it is not. My name is Mick, and Meraki is a Greek word to put your entire soul and passion into what you create and what you do. So since my new business was my heart and soul poured out into a craft, I decided that that was going to be the name, and it stuck from then till now, and I love it, and that's what people know me for. So at the time that I had the Instagram page, a bunch of people from high school figured out that this is what I was now doing with my time, and they would reach out to me asking for customs, or they would order things through my Instagram, and I would drive myself to their houses, leave it in their mailboxes, and do online transactions because there was still no contact at that time with people. Over time, I decided that I was just going to make as much stock as I could, and I did my first ever vending event on Halloween of 2020. And that was at the time where we were still mandated to wear masks, but it was a little more lenient, like you could go out and about. And to say the least, that vending event was a big learning experience for myself because my booth then versus what my booth looks like now are two completely different things. And you know, little by little, I had to save up my money and really invest in what I overall wanted my booth to look like. It took about 3 years before I was like, yes, I'm so happy with my booth. But to this day, I'm still going out buying new pieces for it and truly what I wanted it to look like in the long run. But yeah, from doing those vending events, I then realized that I needed to get online, so I opened up a Depop. I remember getting my first ever online order from somebody I didn't know, and I had to package it up and ship it off to the post office, and that was a really fun experience. But over time, I realized that I wanted to try something else as well, so that's when I transitioned to Etsy. So around the time that I turned 18, I figured that wire wrapping wasn't really meant for me, and I wasn't really that good at it, and I loved what I was doing, but I knew that there was a next level of something that I could reach, and wire wrapping was not going to be that thing that took me to the next level. And at the time, when I was posting on Instagram, my feed was filled with all of these beautiful sterling silver rings, necklaces, pendants, bracelets, and things that silversmiths were making, and I knew from looking at it that that was what I wanted to do. So at the time that I turned 18, I took all of the money that I had invested and I started slowly but surely buying myself the things that you need to become a silversmith. I had absolutely no idea where to start or what I was doing, but I kind of collected bits and pieces of information from people, and it was definitely really hard getting the ball rolling because I was only 18 years old and I had absolutely no idea who to contact, what I was doing, what YouTube videos to research, anything like that. I knew not a single other jeweler, and it was just something that I kind of just threw myself at and figured it out on my own. So when I was wire wrapping, I was actually sitting on my bedroom floor half of the time, and by half of the time I mean all of the time, and I remember buying myself my first workbench, and that was such an awesome experience, and to this day I still love my first workbench. I use it every single day and I'm never gonna get a new one as long as I need one. And I bought my first ever handheld butane torch, and I taught myself what soft soldering was. It's a little bit different than silversmithing, but it was still kind of getting that concept done of how learning how to solder and kind of using the torch in my hand and getting comfortable with that. And then January 2021, I silversmithed my first ever pendant, and it was actually a little piece of moldavite. I put on Etsy, and to this day, I still know the person that was my first ever customer. And it was such a cool experience to be able to self-teach myself that. Around this time, I also started selling my stuff on consignment for about 4 different stores local to my area, and I would take that money, save it up, and then I would buy myself new equipment, new tools, and just keep teaching myself every single day. I made it my goal that every single day I had to be working on at least one piece, because that's the only way I knew how to learn. Most of the time that I learned everything was trial and error because, again, I didn't really know what to research and how to get there. I bought a couple old-fashioned books, but it was, again, very hard being a kid trying to learn something that you had absolutely zero experience with, weren't going to school for it, and it was also during the times of COVID.
Okay, so my audio decided to just delete after the last 10 minutes of my video that I had, so I had to come back to my workshop to redo this. But pretty much what I was saying is that I had a lot to learn and a lot to teach myself during these times, and I'm so thankful that I was able to self-teach myself and to see how far I've come in the last couple of years. After I started doing the soft soldering and I was on Etsy, I then decided that it was time to take my little bit of knowledge I had from high school of photography, marketing, and graphic design and use a website builder to make my own website. I had so much fun building my website, and I really like that over the years of my aesthetic changing, I was able to maneuver my website and enhance my photography skills to then match what I wanted my aesthetic to be within the given moment. The next step, around the time that I turned 20 years old, I enrolled in the Gemological Institute of America to become a gemologist, but a few short months later, I had a little bit of a tragedy happen in my family, and I had to put things on hold and trying to kind of change my course. I am hoping to go back and continue that, but right now it's just not in my path, and that is totally okay, but I am an aspiring gemologist through GIA. So I enrolled in GIA around February, and then around the time of April, I believe I had another really amazing opportunity fall in front of my lap, and I was able to open up my physical location at 20 years old on September 2nd, 2023. So it's been 1 year of me owning my physical location. It is a metaphysical shop, and my art studio is right here inside of the store, which is so awesome, and I'm so thankful that I have this. My store contains crystals, tarot decks, books, art supplies, incense, and a lot of things that lean more towards spirituality. It also does have a lot of handmade artisan items throughout the entire shop. Pretty much everything here is fully handcrafted by somebody, whether it's a small business or a local artist. I host different classes here, and I also do allow other artisans to come and teach their craft to my customers as well. Again, I'm so thankful that I have this space. It's a 2-floor store, and then my workshop is right off to the side, so every day that I get to come into work, I also get to work on my sterling silver jewelry. So as of right now, for what people mainly know me for is having the shop and my sterling silver handcrafted jewelry. Everything I do is completely hand fabricated from sheets of metal and wire. I source my stones through ordinary artists and other small businesses alike. I also go out to gem shows such as the one in Tucson, Arizona once a year, which is the world's largest, and I collect all my cabochons that I'm gonna use for the year, and then I stock up the crystals for my shop as well. Everything I do is completely one of a kind. I have a hard time recreating things for people when they want like something that was similar, because I try so hard to make sure that it is completely unique. I like to do collections of jewelry that each tell their own tale. My little mantra is tales told between silver and stone, because I believe that when you look at my jewelry, you should be able to read it like a storybook, and it should reach out to you and tell it whatever story it's trying to come across as. I definitely have my own style in the way that I make the jewelry, but as for the collections, I am very malleable. I bounce all over the place. That way somebody, no matter what your aesthetic is, you're able to find something within my jewelry that you feel like was meant for you. I myself have a new aesthetic every single day, and I wanted my jewelry to be an extension of myself, and that was the best way I could think to do that. I also do a lot of memorial pieces for people, which is something I got to do over the last year, which I'm so thankful that people come to me for things like that. It is very touching that I'm able to provide a piece of jewelry for you to wear every day to keep that special person or animal or moment on you for the rest of your life. Some of the things that I'm personally known for is I like to hide things underneath clear quartz crystals that kind of correspond with the collections that I'm working on. I'm super amped for what I'm working on right now for the next collection. It is so unique and so fun, and I think you guys are gonna like that. And if you want to follow along and see what that's gonna be, I would check out my Instagram or any of my social media platforms. My Instagram is mixmeraki, and then all of my other social media platforms will be linked down below. I'm really well known for doing reptile skin or snake skin jewelry. I myself grew up having a lot of reptiles, so I know there's not a lot of memorial pieces for the people out there who are reptile parents. But my dad came to me about 3 years ago with a piece of snake shed that he found outside, and he asked me if I could do anything with it, and that's where the idea was born. I also do recycle brass from bullet casings into my metal. I grew up primarily in a hunting dominant area and very country out here in New Jersey, so it's a little extension of myself into my jewelry that's done alternatively and not really ever seen like that before. And now I'm teaching myself a whole new process. It is called lost wax casting, and I'm very, very thankful to be able to bring this to you guys and have a whole new expertise inside of my business. So, lost wax casting is a process in which you take a block of wax and you hand sculpt it into a ring, a pendant, a bracelet, whatever you're trying to create, and then you make a mold out of it. It goes through a couple different processes, which takes me about 13 hours, and then you pour molten metal into your mold that you created, and it makes a wearable piece of art from the wax that you carved. This allows me to bring my sculpting abilities back from high school into my newfound love for jewelry making, and I'm so excited to be able to do that. I've had a few castings happen since I've started. The first casting I totally failed. The second one I was able to create 2 gorgeous rings, and I'm so excited for those to be in the next collection. And the third one I got a little too confident and I failed it as well. The one thing that stinks about the lost wax casting process is that once you burn out your wax mold, it evaporates into the air and then it is gone forever. So those few times that I failed, it was hours of work completely gone, but it's a process that I'm teaching myself, and I'm grateful that I'm able to teach this to myself. So it's gonna be trial and error before I get it 100% right every single time. But I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to touch base on. I kind of forget what I skipped out on because my audio was totally lost in the last 10 minutes of the previous video that I recorded. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know in the comments below. And if there's any form of YouTube video that you would like to see, whether you're just somebody following along for the journey or if you're a silversmith that needs tips and tricks, if you let me know in the comments below what you want to see, it greatly helps me out, and that way I'm able to produce the content that is wanted to be viewed. But for now, if you would like to subscribe, it helps me out a lot. And if you follow me on all of my other social media platforms as well, again, those are all going to be linked down in the description below. But I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Thank you for sitting down and letting me introduce myself to you guys. And I'm very excited to get started on this whole new journey. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Bye!